He should have never gotten hired to begin with. What's good, y'all? What's good, Real Talk Squad? This is Miles, and you're listening to Real Talk with Miles Johnson, where you know I always keep it real. Let's get right into it, man. You've seen the title of this episode. Steve Nash, Brooklyn Nets head coach. Well, I'll say former Brooklyn Nets head coach, just got fired literally like less than an hour ago, right? And here's my immediate reaction to his firing. First off, this should have been done last year. This should have been done earlier this year, actually. Matter of fact, the time when Kevin Durant said it's either me or Steve Nash, and they kept Steve Nash. Like, that was your time to get rid of Steve Nash. You have a superstar player, a top 5 player in the game, top 5, top 6 player in the game, a top 15 player of all time. He's telling you all, it's either me or it's Steve Nash. You better pick Kevin Durant. Now, yes, KD came back, so it wasn't like, that demand, made him, get traded. It didn't facilitate any of that. But just off the principle, bro, why did they hold Steve Nash this long? Y'all should have known when the whole debacle happened last year, when he could not get control of the locker room, that it was wraps, that it was done. If you have two all-time great players in James Harden and Kevin Durant wanting to leave, and James Harden got his wish. People said he was crazy. Clearly, he was right. If you have two guys that are all-time great players that want to leave, and heck, Kyrie Irving wanted to leave. If you have all your main stars that want to leave, right? The whole organization is dysfunctional. All the culture that the Nets built before Steve Nash got there, before, Kevin Durant, Kyrie got there, it was lost. And as a coach, it's part of your job to cultivate that culture. It's part of your job to, bring that culture with you to your organization. And what has he done as a coach? First of all, he should have never gotten this job as a coach to begin with. How do you give a guy that has no coaching experience a job where he is managing Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, some of the most emotional guys in the NBA? How how does that even make sense? And matter of fact, when Kyrie said, we don't need a coach, I don't care if Steve Nash never coached for the Nets prior to that. When Kyrie Irving said that, Joe Tsai, Sean Marks should have looked at Steve Nash and been like, we made the wrong decision. Let's just, fire you now. They should have fired him back then. Because if your superstar player thinks of the head coach as a jag, as just another guy, then that's going to translate to the court, and ultimately that translated to their results. Bro, that season last year, yes, a lot of it was on Kyrie. But you got to think, in the 2 years that Steve Nash has been head coach, all the offense has been run, the whole offense has been run through just KD and Kyrie Irving. All it is iso ball. Give it to KD, give it to Kyrie Irving, let them cook, pick and roll, do whatever. It's no ball movement. It's no actual basketball being played. It's street ball. I could do that. I could literally tell KD, here, man, get the ball, do a high pick and roll, get to your spot. I could do what Steve Nash did. So he proved to be a terrible coach. And I'm going to say this again. He should have never even gotten this long. Steve Nash should have never had this long of a chance to be coach. He should have been got fired, bro. He should have been got fired. And it's just sad that it came to this because he should have never gotten hired to begin with. Somebody like Tyronn Lue, somebody like Ime Udoka, somebody like, I wouldn't even say a Doc Rivers. I wouldn't even say that because we can talk about him another episode. He might be on the chopping block too. Mike D'Antoni knocking on that door, right? But it's a Quinn Snyder, another guy who the Nets are looking at. Monty Williams. I mean, it's so many other coaches in this league that are qualified, that have experience, that know how to navigate a locker room, that have proven to bring a winning culture where they've gone, and they chose a guy in Steve Nash. And the Nets tried to pull a Warriors, and it failed. They tried to get a guy that had no coaching experience because, maybe, he had a good relationship with Kevin Durant or whoever, thinking that that's going to translate to being a good coach. Steve Kerr is an anomaly. Steve Kerr is an anomaly. And just because it worked in Golden State with him not having any coaching experience and coming to them and being an instant success doesn't mean that's going to happen in Brooklyn. And that's where Joe Tsai and Sean Marks failed, because y'all try to make this be like Golden State when the personnel y'all have is completely different from what it is in Golden State, right? You have a guy in Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green. They're easy to coach, at least Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. Draymond Green, not so much, right? But you can work with that if you have one guy that is hard to coach and you have 14 other guys that are easy to coach. But in Brooklyn, you have Kyrie Irving, who everywhere he's been hard to coach. You've had Kevin Durant, where dang near everywhere he's been, he hasn't had a good relationship with the head coach. He did not have a good relationship with Scotty Brooks. He didn't have a good relationship with Steve Kerr. And yes, he had a good relationship with Steve Nash prior to him being a head coach for the Nets. But over time, as expected, that relationship deteriorated. So last thing I'm going to say, and I'm going to reiterate this again, Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant should have never let Steve Nash become the head coach of their franchise. It was them that picked Steve Nash. It was Kyrie that said, we don't need a head coach. It's part Joe Tsai and Sean Marks' fault that they let this last this long. But now you have to look for a guy in Ime Udoka that proved last year I can navigate through, personalities in the locker room, and I can get the best out of this group. Clearly, Steve Nash did not get the best out of this group, and you need a coach with, that has strong will to be able to bring a new culture to this Nets team that just frankly has no culture, right? So again, Steve Nash never deserved this job. He lasted way too long, but I want to hear y'all thoughts. How do you feel about Steve Nash being fired by Brooklyn? Was he given a fair shot? Because let's be honest, I'll play devil's advocate, right? I mean, one could easily argue that if Kyrie and Harden were, healthy in 2021, that the Nets would have won the championship or at least, gone to the finals, right? One could definitely say that because they were up 2-0 against the Bucks. Then Kyrie gets injured. Harden was injured. And I believe the Celtics series prior to, they beat the Celtics in 5 games, right? And this is the year before they went to the championship. So they've had some success. A lot of it was derailed by injury. Some of it was derailed by Kyrie, and that vaccination status and all of that. So it wasn't all Steve Nash's fault, but he wasn't contributing to any good. He wasn't contributing to winning. It wasn't like he was, in terms of X's and O's, he was, really being that guy that, helped put this team over the hump. No, he didn't. If all the offense was playing Kevin Durant 40 minutes a night, playing Kyrie 40 minutes a night, having them cook. And since you've been here, the defense has been terrible. It's been like dang near the worst in the league. And we have a guy in Ben Simmons. Brett Brown got more of Ben Simmons. You can say all you want about Brett Brown. You can say all you want about Ben Simmons in Philly. But Brett Brown got more of Ben Simmons than Steve Nash has gotten out of Ben Simmons. And honestly, I think that's the main reason that Steve Nash got fired, because if he can't navigate this group 7 games into the season, you already know they're not going to do nothing come postseason time. So again, let me know what y'all think down below. What does this say about Kevin Durant? Guy Kevin Durant, who, he picked this guy in Steve Nash. Kyrie Irving, he picked this guy in Steve Nash. And now they drove him out the door. So, Kevin Durant, you're not innocent in this. You're not innocent in this. Kyrie Irving, you are not innocent in this. Not innocent at all. But again, let me know what y'all think down below. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Man, we got a lot of stuff in tune for y'all. A lot of stuff in store. Got a whole Real Talk squad who y'all gonna see. Y'all gonna see some, a guest on the show. Y'all just see my Instagram. My brother Seth, he was there, on the show talking about some boxing, talking about some basketball, talking about some football, talking about the whole shebang. But click that link in the description. Go to my link tree. All of that stuff will be there. With that being said, y'all, this is Real Talk with Miles Johnson, where I'll always keep it real. I'm out, y'all.